Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Simply Nerdy. I'm your host, Steven. I'm joined today by Austin and Anthony to talk about our impressions for Monster Hunter Wilds because we did have a release party for it this weekend and we did some live streams. I've played about 13 hours so far. I don't know about you two, but we played a good chunk of it.
Yeah, pretty close to that, yeah.
We're here to give our overall impressions, so let's dig into it. Which one do you want to go first?
Well, go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah. I started talking first.
That's how.
No.
So I'll just throw out a few rapid fire thoughts. I have always been excited from this game from the moment that it was first announced, but I have to admit that it was a major letdown for me that they removed the wirebugs right after they had introduced them. Basically, I mean, we had this renaissance of sorts. Of course, I hadn't played any Monster Hunter games prior to Rise, so I didn't know what it was like without them. But still, it seemed like most people thought it was a really cool, clever addition. And so I was like, why remove it? I don't understand. And so I was honestly expecting it to still be kind of a step down in a number of ways. But I found myself pleasantly surprised to find that it's not nearly as noticeable an exclusion as I expected it would be. I do still miss them, but it's not as hard as I thought. And I think a number of the reasons why is that it seems like they've really kind of taken that refinement that they put into the wirebugs and just kind of put them into the weapons themselves, because it feels like there's more versatility, even despite the exclusion of the wirebugs. For example, I mean the charge blade. I really enjoy the kind of nuanced and kind of complicated play style. It's something I gravitate toward. The options for the different styles that are encapsulated by the charge blades are a lot easier to make use of. I won't go too far into the technicalities, but I'll just say there's a mode where when you're in axe mode, the head part, you can get it to spin like a saw blade. In Rise, it was really hard to make that very versatile, because if you did a wire fall out of any getting knocked out, you'd turn off that mode and you'd have to find a way to get back into it, and it's not easy. But with Wilds, once you have it up, it stays around for a long time, even if you switch back to sword mode or if you put your weapon away. It makes it a whole lot more viable. I find myself using it all the time, and I almost never used it in Rise. And then there's just a couple other, just refinements that in a number of ways make it feel really nice. So I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm enjoying the more narrative-driven feel of this one to a degree. I need to have, there's some caveats there. I always like having more of a narrative to a story. The only thing I'll say that makes it a little awkward is the time when you're like, oh, I wanted to play with friends, but now I'm having to watch this cutscene. So, there's kind of a weird, I like this, but also hurry up because my friend's waiting, So
that's something I wanted to bring up.
Yeah. So it's not perfect, but at the same time, I'm not going to complain too much, because one of the things that I felt like was the most awkward about Rise is how your character never said anything other than grunts, unless you're, of course, in the mission, and then they're just using their shout-outs. And I don't know, there's been a couple moments where I'm like, oh, that adds a nice bit of depth and lore to the world, just having the character be voiced and having there be some actual narrative driven elements to what you're doing. So anyway, last thing I'll say, I got this game on PC and the optimization is pretty not great. I'm kind of new to the PC scene, so I don't know if this is standard or not, but it's playable, and I've been enjoying myself. But there's been a couple times when I've tried to change the settings, to make it less problematic, and somehow it doesn't seem to touch the issues at all. So, hoping optimizations come soon. Other than that, though, it's not nearly enough to be game breaking. I've been enjoying myself quite a bit. I'm really liking it so far, and I hope I only continue to do so. But Capcom patches soon.
And the one thing I want to elaborate on, like I said before, is the multiplayer, because yeah, I love what they did with like the single player campaign and how they voiced the hunter and everything, and the story is really gets cool. They're actually trying to give it more of a story and more of a narrative,
and some dialogue too. Yeah,
and some dialogue.
I mean, they had some dialogue in the last game, but yeah.
But I mean, it wasn't. It didn't really. It felt like flavor text more than anything. Whereas in this one, like there was a moment when the hunter, he's trying. Well, he or she, depending on how you make your character. But for me, he was trying to get the people to evacuate, and the voice actor really sold it, and it just kind of made this moment really. I don't know, like it sold the urgency a lot more than just a monster being like roar roar. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll fight you. Like it just
exactly. Yeah.
It was. I don't know. Like sometimes just having that moment of this is what a human being would be doing in this moment really makes this atmosphere for me.
I will say though, I do miss the original language, the Monster Hunter language, which they didn't include in this game. I thought that would have been a really nice touch to be able to do that.
I never used it to begin with, so I didn't. I was missing anything.
I didn't. I didn't either.
I thought it was great in Rise, but yeah, I'd always read the subtitles and just listen to their made-up language.
That's one thing that I'll say, though, is it did take a long time to be able to play with your friends. And for a game that's centered mostly around the multiplayer aspect of hunting with friends, it sure took a long time for that to unlock. And even after it did unlock, you get lost in menus. So easy trying to figure out how to connect with people, how to friend them, because this is a cross-platform game, which thank goodness, thank you, Capcom. But you got to clean up the way that you connect, because it is complicated. And it's
so convoluted. Yeah, there's just a lot of, different weird terms and different lobbies and squads and link parties, and it's just like, it's a little bit overwhelming at first. So, yeah, I'd agree with you there, Steven. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, a lot of these things, though, I feel like can be chalked up to launch woes. I mean, there's always a few problems, and I feel like that's especially true for, like, I don't know. I mean, again, I'm new to the PC scene, but it sure seems like almost every PC game ever launches with severe optimization issues and eventually ends up pretty great. So
yeah, well, I'll piggyback off of that because I've run into some issues when the very first night that I was trying to play this game, I installed it and it was crashing immediately upon trying to open it. And I came into this game, into Wilds, not having played the beta, so I didn't know what to expect or anything. I just came into it blind. And once I was finally able to get past those crash errors, it was pretty fun. The story was good. Some of the animation is kind of... I don't know if choppy is the right word, but a very clunky feel. The mouths don't move quite as well. They don't move very well with what they're saying in the dialogue. But those are just really some nitpicky things. Similar to Anthony, though, my introduction to Monster Hunter was with Rise and Sunbreak. What was that? Thanks to you. Yes, exactly.
I'm going to take that credit.
Yeah, yep. He's the Monster Hunter missionary in our friend group.
Yes, he is.
And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed Rise. I will say that I do miss both the spirit. I don't really miss the spirit bugs as much because of the items that you can get and everything, but definitely the what do you call it? Wire bugs. I definitely miss the wire bugs a little bit, but not so much like Anthony said. Not so much that it's detracting a ton from the quality of the game because some of the things that they've added, you still have a really great grapple system. I do wish you could like grapple onto parts of the terrain and have that pull you up. I know you can grapple things like rocks and other, interact with the biome, but it would still be nice for some... What's the word I'm looking for? To get around a lot easier.
Traversal?
Yeah, some traversal. Thank you. I think it would be really nice for some traversal, but the biomes look pretty nice, if not a little empty for some of the large spaces. But but the monsters are great. I love some of the monsters. I've heard that they've brought some monsters back, so I know there's a lot of great nostalgia for fans of the older Monster Hunter games.
The monsters have been fantastic.
Yeah,
their design is amazing.
Yeah, that's been really good. So I've definitely been enjoying this game a lot. I look forward to continue playing it and finishing the story. From what I understand, the story isn't very long, so thankfully you can just kind of zip right through it. But I do take issue with the fact that there's so many cutscenes that it's hard to play with friends at times, at least when you're doing the story. When you're doing optional quests, you can jump into those pretty easily.
But monsters you've already hunted or whatever. But yeah, let's do with the cutscenes.
Yeah. In order for a friend to play with you, you have to have they have to have gotten to that point in the story. And so if they're trying to progress through the story, then they hit a cutscene, and it just delays a little bit of that time.
Do it together or not at all, basically. Goodness.
Yeah. So all in all, though, it's a solid game so far. I'm glad to see that they've been introducing some patches, some DLC for cosmetic stuff. I hope that they continue to update it and add patches that'll fix some of the little performance issues that we've seen. But otherwise it's been a pretty solid game.
Yeah, I just hope that the performance stuff will come soon, because
there's even some performance problems on PlayStation 5 too, by the way. There's dropped frames, there's textures that dropped completely and they turn black and they come back in.
Oh wow.
Sometimes.
There was one point when the game decided to load a little too soon, and the characters popped in looking like Picasso paintings.
Oh really?
Yeah, like
pieces of their
face. One person's face was like this, like the jagged angles. It was creepy. I was like, whoa! Yeah. So there's definitely some issues they need to fix. But the thing I want to understand is I want to know what those people who have it running like butter smooth, looking amazing, what they're doing. Is it just that they have insanely high-end computers?
Yeah, they just have nuclear vessels, like myself.
But you're having issues too.
The only real issues I had seen were one, the crashing issue when I first started playing. There was a little bit of stuttering at first, but after I downloaded the patch, the cosmetic install thing, I haven't really noticed any issues since. So check that out in Steam. You just go to Monster Hunter Wilds and see the DLC tab.
I still, we only just had the 5th generation NVIDIA cards come out, so you'd think that 4th gen should still be able to handle this game. And I have a 4th gen plus like 32 gigs of memory, and it's still doesn't. I'm just sitting here being like, surely they weren't expecting me to buy a 5th generation right off the bat.
Jeez.
Like they made the game before that came out, so come on, guys.
Basically, what we're saying is fantastic game, great design, but definitely need to improve on performance and usability for multiplayer.
Yeah, from what I understand, this game actually got a ton of attention from other companies as well. There were tons of people. It was one of the biggest games opened, even passing like, what was it, Pal World or some other game?
Passing Pal World, yeah.
It's
a bunch of companies shut down.
So a lot of people are interested and want to play this game, but I think they were a little bit turned off by some of the issues that it was having. And so for what it's worth, for those of you who are interested in getting the game, don't let that deter you. Just maybe wait until you hear about some performance improvements, and then it would definitely be worth getting. But it's still been enjoyable. If there are still some things about it that are kind of like Steven was saying, there's some convoluted menu things and trying to navigate their linked party system and things like that make it have a little bit of a learning curve. But
yeah,
that's okay.
That's kind of Monster Hunter in general, though. I mean, menus that have menus is just kind of part of the series.
It's true.
Yeah.
But
you need to figure that out.
But it's worth. Well, I don't know. The game is so complicated. I don't know how you.
It's super complicated. I know. At some point.
Anyway, but it's very worth pushing past that learning curve because this is an amazing series. Check it out, guys.
Yeah,
Yep.
Keep your eyes peeled
Recommended.
for performance patches.
Stay tuned for a review as well. We'll have a review coming soon. And if you liked our ramblings about our impressions, be sure to hit the subscribe button and like this video and ring the notification bell. And if you've tried it or if you haven't tried it, let us know in the comments below whether you liked it or why you haven't given it a try yet because of probably performance issues. But let us know the reasons why you haven't picked it up yet. And if you're looking forward to it. And until next time,
keep it nerdy.